if somebody had their brain uploaded to a computer, is that computer them still? Like, is there
Yes.
consciousness in there? You
Yes.
think so?
110%. I would have my brain uploaded to a computer. I am a firm believer that all we are is essentially a very well, not even very well, a high running computer. And that is kind of what we base computers off of. And we're just synapses firing and electricity running through us and energy and blah, 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 blah. And so I don't see the difference. I think you're still you.
I agree. I think so. To a point, I agree. I think we are meat computers.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you on that. But if you take like a file from this computer and I send you that file, and then you go and edit that file and do different stuff with it, the file that I have is different now than the one that you have. So if consciousness is our experiencing of the world around us, then I feel like the consciousness would be different almost immediately when you uploaded your brain
I don't
to a
know that I
computer.
agree with you though,
That
because I feel
consciousness is
like,
senses around us.
yeah, I feel like at least the way I view it is like it's still you in this computer, right? Like it's still your personality. And people are pretty cemented in who they are, I feel like, after a certain age. And it's hard to like teach an old dog new tricks. So like, do I think that they would change over time as a person? Yes. Like once they're in the computer, they're going to start changing. But I think the initial upload, you would still be you.
But your I guess, as we're all star stuff experiencing the galaxy,
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
you experiencing, like, your point of view is going to be different from what's in the computer.
Well, sure, but it's still me being uploaded into the computer, no?
Yes. So your point of view, you as Myrna right now,
Uh-huh.
is a different Myrna than the one now. That Myrna is still Myrna, 100%, but it's a different one. It's almost like a clone. So like if you, Myrna, now had somebody come up and, like, and do something, crazy for the internet, do something crazy, then that Myrna will still be existing and experiencing things, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
So now that's the new point of view.
But it's still you. It's just you with a different point of view. Would you argue that like an alternate reality you is not you?
It's not me.
Is
That's
you.
alternate. It's alternate reality me.
It's still you.
It's like when Superman jumps through the time gate and
But
meets the other Superman from
at
Earth
the
five five
core,
six one.
at their core, they're still Superman. Do you know what I
Person,
mean?
I think personality wise, they're still Superman. They still meet all the points. And from me on the outside looking at that, I would be like, okay, they're both super. Now we got two Supermans. That's
It's two
cool.
Supermans.
And then I wouldn't feel as bad if one of those Supermans died, because, like, we still got Superman here, so we're okay, we're fine. But if I were Superman and I met my other Superman, and then me, Superman, got kryptonite to death, then I would feel bad.
You wouldn't feel anything.
I'd be dead. I don't want to be dead, though. Is the thing. I don't want to be unalived for the internet.
I
I don't
mean,
want to be
yeah,
unalive.
I think that that's like everybody's point of view.
So I would be okay with, like the upload. Have you ever seen the show Upload?
No. But I
So there,
watched that episode of Black Mirror.
what's the episode of Black Mirror?
What's the episode name? My lesbians out there, you know it. It's an episode where their consciousness is up pretty much after they die. They're uploaded into computers, and the story on Black Mirror is a beautiful lesbian love story. But
Which one am I thinking of with the teddy bear? Was that Black Mirror?
I don't know. I don't watch Black Mirror. I watched that episode.
There's one where, like, the dude's wife is dying, so before she dies, they, like, upload her to a teddy bear where she can, like, see and speak, and she can feel touch, and it's for, like, the kid. No, first they upload her to her husband's head, and she's living in there, and she can talk to him, and it's her, and she can experience the world around her. But then they decide, like, okay, we don't want her living, because the dude goes and gets, like, remarried and stuff. So they put her in a teddy bear instead. The show Upload is pretty much exactly what you just described. When someone is about to die, they get uploaded, and it's like their soul. But in that you're about to kick it, the upload process kills you. So there isn't another one of you running around. So that idea of, like, consciousness and, like, point of view doesn't come up.
I don't think it's any different than making a sim in a game that's you.
The Sims get drowned in the water. They get stuck in the house.
Like we played Cyberpunk a lot. Big Cyberpunk fans. Did you have a playthrough that was like the choices you would make in that moment with the
Yes.
knowledge you had, like your first
Yes.
playthrough, right?
Yes. Yep.
To me, that's still you. That is you as V, right? That is Ian at its core. I would be friends with that V probably, you know? So to me, anytime I'm like making something in a video game that is what I portray myself as or want to be or whatever, I always view it as like that's me. That's little me running around on the screen.
See, I guess
That's also where the perspective right now differs because
it's having it's another person, so I don't feel bad when my V gets killed. It's also because I can just reload and do it.
Yeah.
But if I do something bad in the
your
game,
V doesn't know that.
That's true. That's true. But I know that, and I'm the me. I think if I could just upload my brain to a computer and have it be like that's a whole nother me now, and he's existing and doing his own thing, and he might grow, probably will, being in a computer, turn into something different.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be fine. But if there was like an erasure of myself in that process.
So what if it is the upload thing where you are like schmurdered at the
I think
end,
I'd almost
like
prefer that.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I think it's,
I don't care either way. I don't think there should be two of me running rampant on the world. I think that's terrible. But I genuinely would not care. If anything, I'd be like, well, what's other Ariana doing?
I think there'd be like a chance of like if that point of view is going to be just the one point of view of me, then I might still be. It's my ego. I want to be able to experience things. I want to see things. I don't want a version of me to. I want me. I want me to.
No, I don't really care.
If
you were to sell me with the fact that I also like we can choose to upload memories back and forth to each other, I'm even more into that.
Oh yeah, then you're just the same person.
At
that point. I don't know. Well, my name's Ian.
My name's Murna.
And this is the I Am Dumb podcast.
I think that was the first time you've done the intro.
It's my first time doing the intro. We got to get to it. It's a big topic today. We got to get to it.
Big topic today.
We got to hawk to it. This is the I Am Dumb podcast. Anything that you might want to Google but just don't have the time to, you can come check it out here with us. Today, we're just going to get straight into it. We're talking about zombies.
Oh, that's a broad topic.
We are talking about zombies. It's very, very broad. So we might not hit on everything as far as I personally want to go into, or you, the audience, might want me to go into. But if you want us to go into something a little deeper, right down there in the comments section, you can let us know, and we can touch on things a little more. I think for sure there's gonna be parts of this that we will definitely be going into later. So don't get too hot on the cut shooting us down in the comments about it.
There's just so many forms of zombies. There's different forms of zombies, different type of content for zombies, video games, movies, books. There's so much. There's no 100%. Way to cover it all.
I think with this, I mostly want to get into, so on a broad spectrum, just a very light step into the world of zombies. In case somebody out there somehow does not know what a zombie is, you will know by the end of this episode. You will know what a zombie is. And if you want to go down in the comments and get rage baited and yell at me for getting something wrong, go ahead and do that too.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite zombie media?
I like video game zombies. I tend to be killing zombies in video games.
If you had to pick one, which would be your favorite zombie?
Call of Duty Black Ops 2 zombies.
Call of Duty Black Ops 2 zombies. It's crazy that you just touched on the one that we're gonna have to do an entire other episode on right off the rip. I had a feeling.
You had to know that Origins map goes hard. Nuketown's fun. That's a Die Rise. That game was a bomb. It was the bomb. It was amazing.
I ended up I was going through and doing the research for this episode, and there was so much stuff just on Black Ops Zombies, Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies, and I was like, there is absolutely no way that this is its own episode.
Black Ops Zombies. It's a whole winding timeline and alternate realities,
and the multiverses and the different ways. What I really wanted to get into with Black Ops was how the zombies actually came to be. So that's what we're mostly going to focus on. But that's going to be at the end of the episode. We're putting the shoe above the horse right now. I think that's the saying, right?
I have cart before the horse.
The cart before the horse, the
Yeah, the cart
shoe
before
on
the horse.
the left foot or something. I don't know.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, what I wanted to get started with on this was the origin of zombies, and I think a lot of people think that zombies came from the Night of the Living Dead and George Romero, but they do go a lot further back than that.
Yeah.
Um, so in
I feel like the indigenous people here would have like zombie stories and stuff like that too.
there are zombie stories that go all over the place that start
Uh-huh.
in tons of different places, but where they were first actually called zombies, and cut the E off of it because it was, these people called it ZOMBI,
Okay.
zombie. It was the Haitians.
Okay.
Uh, back in the 17th and 18th centuries, slaves were brought from Africa by the French, the
Mm-hmm.
French,
Yep.
um,
Fuck the French.
to Haiti, or as it was called at the time, Santa Domingo, Saint
Santo
Domingue.
Domingo.
And it wasn't voodoo yet. I think a lot of people know that zombies actually came from voodoo. It wasn't voodoo yet.
Okay.
The slaves that were living on these Haitian slave compounds, plantations,
Okay.
they were growing and harvesting sugarcane. They had a belief that if they committed suicide while they were slaves, their souls would be forced to wander Hispaniola, Santo Domingo, Haiti for all eternity. And their souls would take part in their body and just wander. And that belief is where the first zombies came from. If they were able to just die naturally, their souls would return back to Africa and they would be free to roam their homelands.
I mean, no offense, but it almost sounds like a scare tactic. Like, I'm sure they felt that way because their freedoms were being robbed from them and they were terrified of dying as a slave and all that. But it almost sounds like something people would tell them to like scare them into continue being slaves.
To keep, because even with that belief going through, a lot of them still committed suicide. The French
Mm.
were, I mean, every slave master is terrible, slavery bad, of course, but the French were notoriously bad slave masters. They ran them into the ground. So in 1804, there was a revolution in Haiti, and the slaves rose up and kicked out the French. For the most part, kicked out the French. There were still like back and forths. I don't know how there was a back and forth on this, on whether or not to keep the slave trade going. But even after this revolution, the people there were now going back and forth on whether or not we were should we maybe get slavery back started again.
That's fucking bonkers.
Yes, and the people who were most against it were voodoo magicians, known as the Bokor, and they were sorcerers. They weren't really magicians at this time. They were sorcerers, and they harkened back to that belief in zombies, and I can see zombification being used as a fear tactic, because they use as a fear tactic as well that anybody who was trying to reinstate the slave trade would be risen back as a slave themselves, a zombified one.
Interesting.
And the process to do that was used. It was called a coup de poudre, or powder strike, and it was a powder that could be held in the hand and in the face, and it was made
Pocket
out of
sand.
it was pocket sand, but instead of sand, it was animal parts, human parts, and various herbs and such. So it was believed that if a Bokor got you with a powder strike and you died, you would be brought back as a zombie.
I love that it sounds like a Pokemon move or something like that.
Coup de poudre.
Bakor, use powder strike.
And they get you, and then you come back as a zombie. And this is now kind of cementing that zombies are dead. To be defined as a zombie, it is dead.
So you get powder struck, right? You get powder struck, and you're fine until you keel over, or you get powder struck and you die.
And you die.
Okay.
And then
so
and then
you get powder
be
struck, you die, back. And then your body rises back up.
Yes, and they could also use that same coup de poudre mixture, that powder strike, to bring already dead corpses back to life. So there was a fear that if you died and a Bokor got a hold of your corpse, that you would be risen up. And part of the powder strike is that it invokes a part of your soul. So even in death, it doesn't matter. Your body's not the only thing walking around. There is a portion of your soul in that.
You're trapped.
And you're trapped in it.
You can't go up or down or anywhere. You're
Nope,
trapped.
you're
You're
stuck.
stuck.
You're stuck. So that's where zombies actually first came from, and then we had kind of touched on it. But when we get to the popularization of zombie media in the West, that did start with the 1968 film Night of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
George Romero.
So
George Romero was very aware of voodoo and Haitian zombies. And he made a point of not calling the things in that first movie zombies. They were not zombies, they were
yeah,
ghouls.
I've heard that.
And it wasn't until like the fans, so it was fan service to call them zombies 10 years later in Dawn of the Dead was where they were first called zombies. Because the fans were calling them zombies. So it was the first zombie movie, but not by George Romero's push for it, but by the fans' push for it.
Where did the fans get the term? Someone like,
people had known about zombies. There was the Haitian Revolution had obviously made the news, and the idea of zombies over there was in the news. It was in like, popular like science fiction media, but it was never enough to like blow it up and put it in the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had like magazines, people would write like short stories about this, that, the other. People knew about zombies, but this was the first like we're putting zombies on the big screen.
I see.
We're making them popular. They're popular. I think that's 2 episodes in a row now. We've done that. So that's where zombies got their beginning.
Okay. So started in Haiti and then ended with George Romero on the big screen.
On the big screen. Made them popular.
Okay.
So now I wanted to get into just some basic types of zombies. We'll go through there and some examples, because there's tons of zombies out there. So you've got your generic zombie, and they are dead. They eat flesh. They're slow. You've got your fast zombies, and this is where now we get into if something is dead, is it a zombie? Or something's still alive, is it a zombie?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, before we get too far from it. Did zombies always eat flesh and like shamble around like that?
No,
Was that
the Haitian zombie did
were?
not eat flesh. They specifically did not.
It just was an undead being?
Yes, an
what
undead being that, and they would work in the fields. They would just whatever thing. It was mostly for field work.
It was labor forces.
Yeah, they were labor for the poor.
Laborers.
Yep, they were. I mean, they you could like turn your zombie horde on a person, but it was mostly for working in the fields. And I think you could like
Plants versus Zombies shit.
I tried to look into Plants vs. Zombies, and there's not a lot of lore out there. So they're the generic zombie, but there's not a lot of lore for what the actual zombies are.
Hit us with the deep lore for Plants vs. Zombies, right?
Yeah, there wasn't any. I looked, there wasn't any.
Why would there be?
Don't go that
Good
far.
for them.
I don't
Good
know.
for them.
I like a good deep lore in my phone game.
For Plants vs. Come on.
They had the Plants vs. Zombies Guild Wars or whatever on Xbox. It's a big franchise. But the Plants vs. Zombies are your generic slow zombies. And just brief touch, the Haitian zombies, you also don't turn from getting bit.
Okay.
So
you have to be powder strike.
Yes, that was a George Romero.
I really fucking love Powder Strike. That is great. I love that.
So you got your fast zombies, and these are usually infected with some kind of virus. Like 28 days later, and you got like the rage virus. So in the definition of a zombie, it's got to be dead.
Got to be dead.
So are 28 days later zombies?
Like when they're infected?
When they're infected.
I think if you can't be cured from it, yeah, because you're dead, right? You're not aging. You're not.
There was a possibility for a cure. They were looking for one in 28 weeks later. Months later.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question.
I think there's always a possibility. I tried looking into if
I'm not gonna lie. I always looked at like infected zombies as like the infection kills you. It spreads and it kills you.
In most of it does. But if you look at like the green flu in Left 4 Dead, they're still alive.
Yeah.
Those zombies are still alive and they're running around. And in looking at like your normal fast zombies, it's like Left 4 Dead, the World War Z movie, not the book. We're going to get into that too. The movie, not the book. They're not dead yet. They're still alive and they're infected and they're trying to spread this infection. So
Yeah, I
would they
don't
be
know.
zombies? And I've been tossing and turning over that for a couple of days now.
When like those parasites take over ants and shit like that, are the ants dead?
I don't think so. The fungus
Yeah.
ones, yeah, the cordyceps.
Uh-huh. The only like real life zombies.
I mean, if it was like the cordyceps in The Last of Us, they're still alive.
That's true.
They're still experiencing everything going on around them, and they're
Do you think that means that like if the zombies went out, they could make their own new civilization?
if they were intelligent enough. You get into that in some of the later Romero movies. You have the zombies just want to be left alone. They want to
Mm-hmm.
start their own civilization.
Is there like OG zombies? They weren't necessarily dumb, were they?
They were, yeah,
They were.
yeah, they were. They're well, not dumb. They weren't capable of making their own decisions. They had to be pushed into something, given a command
I see.
to do something.
So most zombies are like the slow walking, dumb, like brain dead kind of zombies.
I would say, if not, maybe not dumb, but driven.
Driven.
They have one goal in mind, one focus, and
Oh,
that
one need,
drive
hunger.
might hunger. Yeah, they're just hungry,
They're hungry.
and
Hungry for
that's
that
it.
flesh. What about zombies eating brains? Where does that specifically come from?
Zombies Eating Brains came from George Romero.
George
Again,
Romero?
they
Yeah.
they were constantly in pain. There was a movie where they had like the half a zombie laying on a table,
Yeah.
and it could talk. The Romero zombies, and I guess we'll go and do the Romero zombies now. They're capable of learning, can become very intelligent, but they start out dumb. And it's the amount of brains that they eat kind of bring back their intelligence and like sort of another personality in them. They're slow moving. They're always slow moving, and in the Romero verse, you don't need to be bitten to turn into a zombie. If you die while the zombie plague is going on,
Mm-hmm.
you will rise again. And that kind of makes the Walking Dead zombies almost Romero-esque.
Interesting. I was gonna ask about The Walking Dead and how it fits into everything.
They are they are your generic zombie, but The Walking Dead is another one where anyone who dies in that will come again. They don't become smart. You get into the later Walking Dead renditions of the show, not the book. The book actually ended not too long ago.
Oh, interesting.
The Walking Dead comic book ended on
I
edition
didn't know
193. Yep, I'm not going to spoil it if anyone wants to go check it out. But the comic books are for The Walking Dead are entirely based off of one person.
Mm-hmm.
So when that person's story is over, they stopped it. They were done with it, and I really respect that. And not like the TV show where they're trying to milk it for everything they got.
Yeah.
But in the newer Walking Dead renditions, Daryl and Carol have gone to France, and the French, yeah, they hop on a boat, they go to France.
I did not know that.
Yes, and the French, apparently that's where the whole thing started, and is still up for debate where the French started it. But there are French scientists that are creating like ways to mutate the virus. So they create like running zombies now in The Walking Dead, which I feel like is completely antithetical to the entire thing. It's kind of like the foundation, the grounding of it is that they are slow, but there's a lot of them.
Walkers.
And they're walkers.
The Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, yes, 100%. And they make zombies that are faster. They make some that have like acid for blood. So they like when you cut them, you get burned by the acid. And still up in the air whether or not the acid blood will infect you if it burns into your skin. In Fear the Walking Dead, they're in Texas. And there's irradiated zombies in that one. I feel like that makes sense because they drop a nuke on it.
Yeah.
So that's reasonable. And these are still walkers. You just if you get too close to it, it's got radiation pouring out of it.
Yeah.
They got like big
and
pustules.
I
and
feel
stuff.
like if you had like one irradiated zombie, it's just gonna keep irradiating zombies around it, and then it becomes more irradiate. Like it's just gonna spread.
Yes. And it's like there's like a nuclear fallout zone where like you don't go there. There's nuclear zombies and nuclear radiation. You just don't do that. So that makes sense. But it just I fell off of The Walking Dead a long time ago. I fell off when Glenn died, but I kind of keep tabs on it.
I never really watched The Walking Dead. I'm not gonna lie, I don't watch a lot of zombie content.
Yeah, I love my zombie content.
Yeah, no, I haven't watched any of the George Romero films we've talked about. I haven't watched The Walking Dead. I saw World War Z. I did watch that one, but
that's the one we're gonna get into World War Z because that one. Are we long enough in the video? That one pissed me off. I was so mad. We're gonna get into that, but with the Romero
Hmm.
zombies, it's very vague how it was caused. There's like you can kind of pick up it might have been aliens, but then later on it's like a they unearthed a virus from like a long time ago. So he's very vague on where it starts. I kind of like that.
I like that too. I was gonna say I think that that makes for a good storytelling narrative where you don't have to like commit to something. You can let the viewers decide. You
And
can let them sit there and think on it and keep your content in the forefront of people's mind.
it kind of gets into why you can't make a cure for it.
Yeah.
You know. So those are the Romero zombies. Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, The Walking Dead, kind of. I'm doing air quotes for the audio listeners out there. So we go to the voodoo zombies now. Already talked about those. They're risen by magic. They do not need to eat flesh, and they follow the commands of the person who rose them. You got your animal zombies, and in a lot of zombie media, animals cannot be turned into zombies. So these are kind of special because when you get like can rats be zombies? Can rats spread the zombie plague? Makes them a lot deadlier.
What about I mean, yeah, rats are deadly. That's how the black plague
But like
got
if
started.
if
But
if a
anyways,
if a rat can bite you and turn into a zombie, it has now just become 10 times deadlier.
I mean that's just ticks, right? Which is what the rats were carrying.
Can ticks carry the zombie virus?
I don't know. That'd be fucking
You know,
crazy. The world would be fucked.
or birds.
Because again, that's how like the Black Plague started and everything.
Yeah. But you got your animal zombies. They're bad. I think any situation where there's like if it's running zombies or animal zombies, because anytime you see an animal zombie, they're not like the slow shambling animal zombie. They always
Yeah, they're
retain
like
some.
rabid.
Yes, they're more like the infected, and
Yeah.
I think you see it more in the infected, kind of in the fast zombie
Mm-hmm.
universe when you've got like an infection that's turning them. You have a stronger possibility of seeing them there or
I'm
magic.
a fan of the different kinds of zombies though. Like Left 4 Dead having like the strongman kind of zombies and the tank and like having the smokers and stuff like that. Like I always liked the different varieties based on different people or different things that they're around.
I think for
Um
for gameplay, if you're playing a video game,
I think it's cool in movies and stuff too. Like I think it is cool to have like oh shit. Like the clickers.
yeah,
I think it's cool to have like an oh shit that looks different. Like I can visibly tell this is a different zombie. It adds a little bit of threat.
it's some
Not
spice.
all the time,
Get a little
but
bit of
like
spice in your
yeah.
zombie life.
But like if normally you're just fighting walkers and then not to say the Walking Dead should have done this, it's kind of not the theme of the show, but normally you're just fighting walking zombies and then next thing you know, you turn the corner and you see like a fucking witch sitting there singing. Like you have no idea what this is. You're
Yes,
probably like, "Oh shit."
I think it's even scarier when you don't know what
Yeah.
they are. I remember,
Like I could see
um,
myself holding my breath in a movie when they like turn the corner. I was like, you know?
there was a portion of The Walking Dead where before all the going to France stuff, where one of the walkers climbed a fence,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a big deal. And I liked that. It was enough. It was enough of a difference where you know it's like oh they can do what now,
Yeah.
but not so crazy where it's foundationally different. I think if you're looking at your zombie media and in its core at its foundation, you have the special kind of infected. I do like that more,
Mm-hmm.
especially like a video game or something. It adds the spice. I
Yes.
enjoy it. Um, so past the and you see animal zombies in movies like Zombieverse, Beaver Zombies, Zombie
Never heard
Shark.
of it. Okay.
It's a I think these are like
Like
your
Sharknado.
It's like yeah, these
Kind
are like
of
your Sharknado level. You also see zombie cats from Mars. Yeah, they're cats from Mars, I guess, and they're zombies.
okay.
Um, Zoocosis. Have you seen that one yet?
No.
Zoocosis is one where you play as so you go into a zoo. You get a job at the zoo, and you have to feed all the animals.
Okay.
And as you go through, one of them might be infected with like this parasite that they're getting from the food that you're feeding them, and they try to infect the other creatures, and you can cure them, but they try to infect the other animals in the zoo, and it's just a fun little horror game.
Interesting.
Yep. Then we get this is a big one, and I got some people in my life that are going to be very upset if I mess this up. The Resident Evil zombies. So
Mm-hmm.
as we talk about the special infected, I think Resident Evil was probably the first one to really do that, and the
And do it
animal,
well.
and they do it very well. New zombies in this, and I like this. I like what Resident Evil did with it. Newer zombies that just turned,
Yeah.
those are the fast ones. Those are the ones you got to be careful with. The ones that have been zombies for a while are slow and shambling.
Mm-hmm.
But the longer that they're zombies, they got the T virus. And there's a chance that they're going to turn into the Crimson Heads and the Lickers. And those are the ones that are now we have gone from, is a Crimson Head a zombie? Is a Licker a zombie? It used to be, but now it's these, you know, four limbed things that are running on walls with big tongues coming out that they get you like a whip and try to pull you in to eat you. Is that a zombie? Does a zombie have to be a person? Does it have to be reminiscent of what it used to be?
I think that's where you go into like zombies as monsters, though, because like they're just making more monsters and so on and so forth. You know what I mean?
So is what we're looking at in zombie media now, is a zombie better defined as something that can turn somebody else into something that they weren't before, past the undeath and
Yes.
what type of zombie you are? Because I,
Yeah, I
I
think
would
so.
I would agree. I think that's where zombie media has gone. I think
Yeah,
it might be time to change the definition.
I think that is where it's evolved to,
If you
where
if you
it's just
can,
more of a monster.
yes, a monster that can turn people into a monster as well.
Yeah.
That's a zombie to me. So that's you know, Resident Evil was the first one to do like the big crazy monsters, and I kind of feel like we got to go into where the T virus, where it came from. I did a little bit of research on it. Way back in the Resident Evil timeline, there was the progenitor virus, and the progenitor virus is what the Umbrella Corporation would take and change and mutate in the viral causes of zombies in Resident Evil came from this. So you get the T virus, the A virus, the C virus, and
Oh.
when you look at the T virus in particular, it goes through. You can see where it goes through its evolutions, like the T virus into the G virus, the A virus, and it'll always do a little more. It can either make you like just a regular zombie.
Mm-hmm.
It can evolve you now that you become a zombie into something else. It'll make you a zombie, but you're stronger. It'll make you, now you're stronger, but you're not a zombie anymore. And that it was already following its own evolution. And then the other Resident Evil games get into, so there's Resident Evil 4 and 5 have the Lost Plagueis,
Yes. Yes.
and those are like the parasite
Yes.
zombies,
I do remember
which
this.
there's not a whole lot of parasite. The only other parasite zombie I could find was Dead Rising.
Which is crazy to me because like the real life equivalent of a zombie is like a fungal
Yeah.
infection. What about? No, I guess not. I was thinking, what about The Last of Us? But I guess that's not quite a parasite.
No, not it's a fungus, but not a
Yeah.
parasite.
Yeah.
So you get the Lost Plagueis, and then that one was only in 4 and 5, and they kind of gave the reason in 5 why they dropped it. And now we're getting into the newer Resident Evil games, and those are distinctly a fungus. It's a mold. The Megamycete is an ancient mold that create zombies, but they're more like crazy people, but create zombies, and links them all mentally. So now they act as like a hive mind, which I think in zombie media is the most terrifying thing, when
Yes.
everything around you is now, if you take out
I
one
mean,
zombie, sure, but if every zombie around knows where you are now.
I know you said we're getting to World War Z too, or as well, but I've always thought like the scariest thing in like World War Z was the zombies like not working together, but like piling on top of each other
Well,
and
they
just
they
like
did they did actively work
scaling.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
scaling that wall, and
because
like that is terrifying.
they were spread by a virus, and that virus would overtake the host and then create. And that was kind of the idea with the movie. When I looked into why did they do this, it was less of a, I know it sounds crazy, less of a zombie movie and more of like an outbreak movie,
Yeah.
where like it's the virus is spreading and it's working together, and it treats each zombie like its own, like it's a single celled organism. It is a virus, And then humanity is also its own single, every individual is a single-celled organism in this. So that's where like the drive came from for the World War Z movie Zombies,
Mm-hmm.
was to infect the cells and take over the body, being Earth, was the idea for that. That was like the theme that they were going for in the World War Z
That's
movie.
interesting. I
They
don't know that I would have taken it that direction, but
no,
it is an
they
interesting take.
they had a perfectly fine foundation to work with, and
Yeah.
they decided not to.
I
But
feel like if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
it, yes, 100%. But we'll get. I don't want to grump too much about the World War Z. That one gets my blood boiling. So past that, you got your eye zombie, your warm bodies type of zombies,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and these are written more for sort of like telling a societal,
Mm-hmm.
lesson. The ones in iZombie, they would turn from taking party drugs
Yep.
and drinking energy drinks, and then they would gain the memories of, and both of them, they would gain the memories of the brains that they ate. So in iZombie, used for good. I guess warm bodies used for good as well. Then we get to the Nazi zombies. That's pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
There's a ton of media out there past Call of Duty. There's a ton of media out there
With
where
Nazi zombies.
it's the Nazi zombies,
I
but
mean, with all the experiments and stuff the Nazis were doing, I feel like everybody's like, yeah, I can see it.
and that's pretty much, you hit the nail on the head. That's pretty much every single Nazi zombies media
Uh-huh.
is the Nazis were doing experiments
Also,
and created zombies,
what other way to make bad guys badder?
make them
Make them a
zombies.
Nazi.
So that's a pretty common zombie in of itself, and I feel like the Nazi zombies, they kind of just line up with pick one of the other types of
Yeah.
zombies. It's going to be one of those. Then you got, and this was one that kind of brought on the question: do zombies need to be dead? You got the Deadites from Evil
Deadites.
Dead,
Oh,
the Evil Dead, and from Ash Williams. Um, so the Evil Dead zombies are brought on not from the Necronomicon itself, but Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi.
yeah.
Remember them?
Yeah. Okay.
They in that first movie, it's a bunch of college kids. They go up into the woods. They find an old book. It's the Necronomicon.
Yep.
They open it up. They read some stuff out of it, and it summons a Kandarian demon. And
Maybe I
Kandarian
have seen
demons.
The Evil Dead. This sounds familiar.
This
Go
is
ahead.
this is the. I think we watched it before. It's in black and white. It's really really old
Oh
movie.
no, I don't think I have seen it then.
It wasn't the best produced back then. It's old. It's old,
Okay.
and it spawned a bunch of other like Evil Dead media past that. There's Marvel Zombies. One of the iterations of Marvel Zombies got
Yeah.
its start, But this is where they're infected, possessed by a Kandarian demon. They don't spread through bites or scratches or anything. The Kandarian demon just chooses somebody to take over, and then they're trying to. They just want to kill. They're not spreading. So if you have now you have your monster, right? And it took somebody over, but now that thing is not, it's not dead. B, it doesn't eat flesh unless it's trying to like, mess with somebody's head by eating someone else's flesh in front of them. They want to drive, like psychological, mishap.
Why is it? Why is it called Evil Dead if they're not dead?
They fight dead stuff.
What?
They fight dead stuff later on. And so Ash gets his hand infected by a Kandarian demon and he chops it off.
Yeah.
And then the portal opens and he jumps through the portal and he goes into the medieval world and he fights dead things there. But he's killing things.
I have no idea. I don't know any of this. I am clueless about the Evil Dead.
So you got the Deadites, and they are monsters. They used to be people, now they're monsters, but they're not making more monsters now.
I don't know that I would call it a zombie.
Would that be a zombie?
I guess from the original, like where zombies came from, but I think in the media version of zombies we have now, no, it's not a zombie.
I would agree, but a lot of people would disagree. When I looked it up, they did not agree with me.
Interesting.
I think when you look at it from the whole picture, what is a zombie?
Yeah,
I got the head crabs from Half-Life.
Okay, yeah.
Another parasite one. So that's pretty much. I mean, we've touched on the fungus zombies in The Last of Us. That's pretty much all the types of zombies that I could find. If I'm wrong and there's more types of zombies, let me know in the comments.
There's a tank.
Taint.
A tank.
A tank?
Yeah, there's the
Oh,
witches. There's
that gets
the.
into the special infected. They're not your generic type of zombie.
I guess they are not generic zombies, but that is
They're
what I think. Like when I think zombies, I think of broad picture, I suppose, and all the different types of zombies amongst all kinds of media.
I think a lot of zombie media you're gonna get like the special infected. You always have like the one that explodes, the one that spits some kind of goo, the licker. You got the long tongue guy, and you always got the big one.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But now I wanted to get kind of into some of my favorite zombie media. So if you're somebody out there who doesn't partake in zombie media and you're looking for recommendations, these are our recommendations. And go into them a little bit. So we know the Left 4 Dead
Yep.
games. The zombies in that are spread in the green flu. If you're really looking for like a deeper lore in it, because when you play the Left 4 Dead games, you're not going to get deep lore in them. If you're looking for a deeper lore, they dropped a comic as well called The Sacrifice, and that one takes place between two different chapters. It follows the main characters and takes place between two different chapters of the game, and it kind of fleshes out a lot of the lore. Because in the game, you get like the environmental storytelling
Yes.
and you learn about the green flu from like writing on the wall, people trying to talk to their loved ones or leaving messages for their loved ones. But this one kind of gives it to
Random
you,
voice lines that are just like thrown
yes, that
in the middle of you fighting.
you might
Yeah.
not even get it on this playthrough, and you're gonna have no idea. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna trigger when you walk past a car or something. So I love Left 4 Dead. You can't go wrong with it. I think that's probably, if you're into zombies, you definitely played Left 4 Dead before. We got the 28 series. This one's about a hard drinking New York journalist named Sandra Bullock who takes her reputation as the life and soul of the party too far when she knocks over her sister's wedding cake and crashes the bridal limousine. I was looking into it. You got the there's a movie called 28 Days
Yep.
starring Sandra Bullock. But the 28 series, you got 28 days, 28 weeks, 28 months, and they're gonna go on and on and on. We got a new one coming out soon. But this one's about the rage virus, and these were like we were talking about before, the infected zombies,
Yep.
where they're still alive. They markedly can starve to death. So if you just wait the thing out, you should be okay. We already talked about this one too, The Walking Dead, themes of good versus evil, community, faith. And I think The Walking Dead does a really good job of showing sort of the background of a zombie apocalypse. Uh,
Again, I've never really watched The Walking Dead, but The Walking Dead to me was also always like Western cowboy zombies kind of vibes. And it was almost like if you took a Western movie and added zombies to it,
yep.
what would it kind of look like?
And I think if you looked into how westerns are, like how the story goes, I think you hit the nail on the head with it, because it's always like good versus evil, and you have one person who epitomizes good,
Yes.
and then one person who epitomizes evil. I think you're 100% correct on that. So I could see The Walking Dead zombie western. If you like
Yeah.
western movies,
Yeah.
if somehow in the year of our Lord 2025, you are more of a fan of westerns than zombie films, you should go check out The Walking Dead. We got The Evil Dead, and we pretty much already went on that. But they read a book, they summon demons,
Mm-hmm.
and Ash has to kill all his friends. These are definitely magic zombies.
Yep.
Have you ever heard of Black Summer?
No.
Black Summer is on Netflix, and it is an episodic. Like every episode, it's obviously it's episodes of a TV show, but every episode follows a different survivor and then what they're going through. But they're all kind of in the same area. So what's really cool about that one is you get background stories, and you'll
That's
see like
cool.
in one episode somebody's running away from zombies in the middle of the
Yeah.
street. In the next episode, you'll see that person is being eaten by a zombie, and then the next episode there's a guy running away from zombies, and that zombie that's chasing him is
The
the
guy
one
who.
the one who was
Mm-hmm.
running
Mm-hmm.
through the yard in the first episode.
That's
uh
cool.
Black Summer is, I have strange tastes, I guess, because it is not popularly received. A lot of people think it's pretty bad television.
Really?
I thought it was pretty good. There's definitely some like trippy parts in it where like at one point they're raiding. So the all the different characters get together at one point, like further into the series. I think it's beginning of season 2, and they back this woman named Rose, whose daughter was taken by the military in the first part of it to go stay in the city, and they hear that the city has fallen. So Rose talks all these other survivors into going with her to the city to try and save her daughter, but they need guns. So they find, just out of nowhere, like a mafia drug den that's like they're still doing okay. And there's like a 20-minute montage of them killing like mafia dudes while there's zombies running around. It was playing rave music the entire time.
Hmm.
And that kind of takes you out of it.
Yeah,
Uh, but I think the show is good. It's very character driven, just like The Walking Dead. I think the best zombie media is character driven.
I agree.
I want to get to know the people, um,
The survivors,
the survivors,
I think
and
that's what
what
this one made The Last of Us so big too. Was like the survivor story, not the zombies. Though the clickers are terrifying.
I think that's what pissed me off the most about World War Z.
Yeah.
Because where World War, and we're getting now we're getting to it. The World War Z book is written as a series of interviews between the author and different people that lived through a zombie apocalypse that is now over, and it's about post-apocalypse life. Like the apocalypse is now done, and society is beginning to rebuild. But it's asking questions about people. There's the Battle of Yonkers. He interviews a soldier who was in the Battle of Yonkers, where they took one large street in New York City. New York City. Second episode in a row, we've done that one too.
There's no
And
we here, dog. This is
what
always you.
that I've done. I got bits. I got. You know what? If you do a podcast and you don't have a bit,
No.
shame,
No.
shame.
It's gonna follow us.
Until the end, all the way,
Ugh.
all the way. But they have like a bunch of like U.S. soldiers that are trying to fight a horde of like New York's, like the amount of people in New York, zombies on one street. And the U.S. military is not prepared for fighting zombies. They don't aim for the head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They tried using
Body
tanks.
shots.
When they shoot a tank round at a group of zombies, it'll kill some of them. But when a certain rounds, certain tank ammunitions, when they go off, they create a vacuum around it, and that vacuum fills very quickly. And this is real life. Your lungs and sometimes your stomach will get pulled from your mouth and then
God.
be hanging out the front of you.
Ah.
So they fought a bunch of zombies that just it didn't kill them. It just had like a bunch of their
Yeah.
guts hanging out the front. He interviews a South African farmer who was fighting zombies, and the indigenous people of Africa were like the tribes that are living around there were coming in to save them, and they were better prepared for fighting zombies than the U.S. military was, because they figured out, you got to get them in the head. They don't use guns.
Mm-hmm.
They were using like bow and arrows and stuff. So it talks about how like the South Africans at the time, they kind of went back to using spears and bows to fight the zombies, and they had actually done pretty well. He interviews a UN official who was still in the UN while the zombie apocalypse was going on, and he was watching the different countries and different groups who were ready to go off the grid as it was happening. He interviews a Chinese virologist who was working on a cure. He interviews a survivor from the Vatican, and the entire city is walled, so they had imprisoned themselves with the zombies. And there's tons of interviews. And if you ever seen the World War Z movie, this is wildly different
Totally
from
different.
the movie that we got. And it's a wonderful piece of media. It's very well written. If you listen to the audiobook, they've got some big name actors on there like Mark Hamill and all sorts that were working on this audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was in the Middle East. I was in the army when World War Z came out, and they had like a movie theater set up over there. It was just like a bunch of like fold out chairs in front of a projector screen. And I had told all my buddies I saw the World War Z movie coming out. It's got Brad Pitt. Pitt. It's gonna be a good movie. So I get all my buddies and I'm like, we gotta go see this movie. And it was like a group of like a dozen of us. We're going to the movie theater to go see it. And as you're going, there's other like guys on post, and they're seeing like this big group of guys walking to the, getting on the little trolley bus and going to go see this movie. So they started joining in, and we had a group of like 20, 25 people sitting in the movie theater. And everybody's saying, oh, Ian said this is a great movie. They said my last name, but they said Ian said this was a great movie. It's going to be a great movie. I'm like, oh yeah, you guys are going to love this, to get fed. So I don't think World War Z is a bad movie.
I thought it was fine.
They shouldn't have called it World War Z.
But I thought it was fine.
No, it's not. I don't think anybody really, really loved
the
World War Z movie, but I think a lot of people would have loved a World War Z adaptation of the book. I think it kind of lends itself more to like a Netflix series.
Yeah.
Or Amazon Prime or something.
I could see it being a Netflix series and almost creating it as a recreation show where like someone is giving their take, but like they are recreating what happened as somebody's like telling this story over it.
Like a 60 Minutes interview.
Yeah.
and then they do
Yes.
like a dramatic retelling as they're
Yes.
going through. I think that'd be phenomenal.
I
And
think it would be really cool.
I mean, Amazon, you can have that. Don't call me. You maybe call Max Brooks, who wrote the book. Mel Brooks' son. Call him. Have you ever seen The Cure or The
No.
Cured? I'm sorry, The
I
Cured.
was gonna say that's a band.
Yeah, as a band, but the Cured is an Irish film that touches a lot on like social stigma and prejudice and guilt. This one is definitely a zombie movie, but what happens in The Cured is they have zombies and they find a cure.
Hmm.
They cure them.
Hmm.
But these people who were zombies in the past, they're always marked by like a little C kind of blemish in their eye. So
Okay.
you can look someone in the eye and you know they used to be a zombie. So they rehabilitate these people because they remember everything they did when they were a zombie. Every person they
Uh,
ate and everything. They
that's
remember
rough.
the feelings they had of like intense hunger
Yeah.
or anger some had, and then they're cured of it. A lot of that rehabilitation was like therapy to try and get past
Yeah.
that. They want to reintroduce these people to society, but then when they get released, society doesn't want them. Society is very, very upset. A lot of people still see them as zombies.
Zombies. Yeah.
Yep. Um,
I see the like social stigmas and stuff like
yes.
that.
And then they have like support groups for the cured, and in one of these support groups there's a guy, so you follow a main character throughout the whole thing and sort of his journey through all
Hmm.
this, and he joins a support group, and one of the cured wants to go back to being a zombie. The way that the world is treating them now, they would rather be zombies than get faced with the prejudice and
Yeah.
social stigma that they're getting. And so they're trying to go back to that. So that's another one. You might not have heard of it. I highly recommend it. That's actually a pretty well received zombie film out there, not like Black Summer. And then we get to the big one, the final one,
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty Zombies. Now, Myrna, you got to stop me if I get it wrong,
Okay.
because I tried to do as much research as I could. And I tried to keep it to just how the zombies came to be,
That's still a hard one to pin down
and
though.
it was a very hard one. And I
Hmm.
saw that in COD Zombies there are 3 different iterations
Hmm.
of Call of Duty Zombies. You got the Ether story,
Yep.
the Dark Ether story,
Yep.
and the Chaos story.
Yep. You got
And
it.
in the Ether story, kind of it kicks the whole thing off.
Yeah.
So you've got in the beginning, there's the first race, or the Keepers, and they were experimenting with another dimension. These are definitely magic zombies, right?
Yeah. It
And
depends on the iteration you're talking about, but yeah.
but there's science and technology mixed together, and it really it's difficult to really pinpoint what kind of zombies these
It
are.
it is so hard. Again, my favorite is Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Zombies. Origins is a phenomenal map. If you are into video games, they have these things called Easter eggs, which are like hidden stories or hidden things that you can find in the game. Origins had an Easter egg that led up to the story of how this all started, pretty much. And in the beginning of Origins, when it first starts, there's like an intro that plays, and it shows Nazis like mining this ore and finding this like gas that ends up coming out, and they all start turning into zombies, and they are essentially infected, and they spread it. And then by the end of that map, when if you finish the Easter egg, it pretty much tells you this is all in a child's imagination, and that is how this is all happening. But it is like one of the characters that was in the game, and so it gets into like the whole multiverse, blah 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 blah.
I mean, to imagine for a child to imagine everything that
Yes,
happened in this is I mean, that's a hell of an imagination on this
yes,
kid. Because it gets into these first beings creating the apothecons on accident by experimenting with this dark ether energy, and I guess that's where that gas stuff came
mm-hmm,
from,
mm-hmm.
was the dark ether. And there's two different like main keepers or first race. A guy named Dr. Monty, who's like the good guy, and the Shadow Man, and he's the bad guy. And the Shadow Man is like communicating. This is where like if you haven't played COD Zombies, every time you see them, they're gonna be Nazis. We're,
Yeah,
we're back to the Nazi zombies, and the Shadow Man character was sort of influencing a Dr. Rick Toffin through the radio to get him to sort of turn the technology that his good friend Dr. Maxis was working on to create a portal to unknowingly to Richtofen, but create a portal to the ether. And then when they did that, it released the zombies, and then it created. And this was in like a Nazi lab, so it created the zombies, the Nazi zombies that we see, and that's the ether story. And then, like you said, Myrna, the ether story goes into like parallel timelines and time travel and the multiverse. And one of these multiverses is the Dark Ether Saga, where the Nazis are always working on some kind of crazy science experiment, and they're working on Project N Station.
They really were, though. I mean, that's what they were doing.
I think in real life, if there were zombies, I think they would probably come from the Nazis.
Yeah, they were looking for anything and everything. And I mean, they were like trying to, through eugenics, make the perfect person. Why wouldn't they add stuff like that made a person stronger, made a person more fit? And the next thing you know, it's fucking zombies. That's how they all start.
I think we just need to leave the eugenics alone.
I agree.
If you like eugenics, shame.
I'll agree with that one. Shame.
So in the Dark Ether story, they got Project N Station. The Nazis are working on it, and they opened up a portal to the Dark Ether and created zombies. The Nazis, and this like the only time you're ever going to hear me say this, the Nazis did the right thing. They shut the doors, they kept it contained, and then the Russians during the Cold War came to open the doors and find out what Project N Station is. They knew that it was the Nazis were trying to create atomic armaments. So the Russians came to try and get a hold of whatever this Project N Station is, and they released the zombies in the Dark Ether on the world. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, in the Dark Ether saga, so in the Ether story, they're able to keep the zombie stuff contained pretty well. It doesn't destroy the world. But in the Dark Ether saga, I think at this point now in the games, it has taken over the world.
Yes.
Everything is zombie.
It is everywhere. Yeah.
So
and I know in the Ether stories, like the original ones, that was also like a lot of the major military forces in the world were coming together to fight these zombies so that it wasn't taking over the world. Like there were different nationalities and stuff all fighting together against these zombies.
See, this is the one you need to do the episode on the Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies, I think. And then we get to the Chaos story, and in the Chaos story, the zombie creating mess has been around in the Chaos story since the beginning of time. There was a meteor that the Shadow Man sent, and it struck the earth. And from this meteor, ancient civilizations created artifacts out of a prima materia. But then through experiments on these artifacts, the Nazis, once again, created a byproduct called Primus. And the Primus, if you got Primus on you, you would, stop me if I'm wrong, if you got Primus on you, you would turn into a zombie. So that now we have the Nazis creating more Nazi zombies. And in the Chaos story, it's less science-y and more fantasy.
This is the one I know the least about.
So
honestly. This is probably my least favorite iteration of when they did zombies.
Well, that one was only in Black Ops 4.
Yeah.
And this one was set in 1912, I guess. But I think you go all the way back, and you're like a fantasy, like you save the world. You have like
it had some stuff that I did like in that game, but most of it really was a departure from like the story they had already created. It's kind of like what we were talking about, like with The Walking Dead or something like that. Like you've already set your terms of what this is. Why are you making something totally different at this point? You know,
and I think they backed up on it.
They did 110%. They dropped it.
I can respect that.
Yeah,
I can. You take your L and you walk away.
Yeah,
I like that. That's all I have.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah,
that's it. I can't believe you didn't talk about the real life zombies.
The real life zombies.
Yeah, the fungus thing.
Talking about the fungus, the ants. Everybody knows about that.
I don't think everybody does. I know the bare minimum.
Well, so you got the cordyceps virus, and it is a fungus. And what they do is the ants go, they find the fungus, and they bring food back to the queen. So they'll go and bring it back to the queen, and the cordyceps virus will actually infect the queen with it, and that fungus will start to spread through the entire hive. And when you see a cordyceps ant, it's like in The Last of Us, they have the fungus growing out of the back of their head.
Yeah.
And they walk around as like a little antenna, and they spread the virus. So there is a real life zombie virus, is the cordyceps.
The ant virus.
The ant virus. So if it ever spreads, and I think it's how it works in The Last of Us, the cordyceps spreads, and now it can be, and I think it was in the food at first.
I think so. Something
People
like that.
People were eating it. So there are real life zombies. So be scared, shaking your boots. Bad time.
That was always so cool to me. I thought that was like a rad little tidbit.
I don't like real life. I prefer my fantasy, my
I don't
books.
know.
You
It's
know?
why like the whole like fungal infection zombies makes the most sense to me. And I also feel like to me, a zombie virus should kind of like if you're gonna be taken over, it's taken over like your brain stem, your brain, like the control center of your body, which is what a fungus would do in order to continue controlling your body. So like that it just makes the most sense to me. That is the zombie that I could subscribe to.
I don't want to subscribe to any zombies. I love zombie media. I'm terrified of zombies.
Really.
That's my biggest fear is zombies. I have a hard time playing zombie games. That's why I haven't played Resident Evil. Like I'll play like Left 4 Dead and stuff because it's more action based. It's why I haven't touched Last of Us. I played a little bit of Last of Us and I get so scared playing that game with like it's got like the heavy stealth mechanics and everything.
What if,
I could watch you play it.
you can't play it?
I don't think I could play it.
I have that game. We could play it.
I get too scared. I think if we did that, you can play it and then I'll scream like a little girl while you're fighting zombies and stuff. I like the action ones. I like where I feel like I have the power over the zombie. Not the zombies are like if it bites me, I'm dead. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't like that. I'm
I
scared
don't
of them.
mind that. I like that shit. But
No, I'm terrified. Oh, and oh, never mind. I'll cut that. I forgot to talk about the green flu and the carriers.
no.
But it's okay. We're already really
Yeah.
far into it.
Yeah.
So okay. Well, that's it. That's the
That's it.
podcast. That's all I have.
Zombies.
That's zombies.
We'll definitely probably go into definitely probably. Well, we'll probably go into a lot of those topics again at some point or other, I think. I
Yeah,
think
this
there's some overlap.
very, very just broad
Mm-hmm.
over everything. If you don't know anything about zombies, I hope you walk away having some idea. If you're not a gamer and you walk in and you see your gamer's significant other playing something where they're killing zombies, maybe now you'll kind of have an idea of maybe what they're playing.
You can drop some lingo and really make them question what you've been doing.
Ask them, is this the Dark Ether saga or the Ether story? Really
You
blow
can be
their
like, I
mind.
really didn't like that chaos one. Black Ops 4, that was crazy.
Black Ops 4 was pretty bad, but I really enjoyed Cold War.
Not that
Telling you
anybody's
like the
playing
Cold War
Black Ops
zombies.
right now.
Huh?
Not that anybody's playing Black Ops right now.
Oh yeah, nobody's playing Black Ops Zombies right now at the time of this episode. So that's all I got. Do you got anything?
No, I think that's it.
We have just started putting the episodes onto Spotify.
Yes.
So if you'd rather listen there instead of looking at our beautiful faces, you can go on Spotify and listen there.
I would prefer that. Stop looking at us.
Stop
Just go
looking
listen
at
to
us.
it.
I do not want to be perceived, facially perceived, audibly perceived. Yes.
Then I don't gotta worry about the stupid facial expressions I make.
No. All the times I go, and you have no idea that I'm agreeing with what Myrna's saying. So I think that's it. Y'all have a good one.
I'm Ian,
And I'm Myrna.
and this was I Am Dumb.
We are dumb.
Leave a comment, and I'm not gonna ask you to like and
Don't tell them
subscribe.
to like, favorite, and
No, I'm
subscribe.
not gonna tell you to do that. But I am gonna tell you to just tell your friends about us. Just if you liked it, if you thought it was an alright show, if you disliked it a lot, just tell people.
And also like, favorite, and subscribe.
No, don't do
Links
that.
are in the doobly doo. Bye bye.